iRacing's real. Pedal down every pass you feel. Step right up and place your bets. This is us, the V8 Vets. Put your name in lights. Put your name in lights with the Vets tonight. It's a 1,000 decibel super record ride. Burn this track to the ground with V8 sound. Put your name in lights. Oh, with the Vets tonight. It's a 1,000 decibel super record ride. Burn this track to the ground with V8 sound. Burn this track to the ground. Come on now, put your name in lights.
From the heights of Mexico City, it's round 2 of SimRigs V8 Veterans Championship Season 28. This is the iRacing Championship for drivers 40 years of age or older in Australia's favourite tin top wheel-to-wheel racing. A long-running championship that gets stronger every season. This is split 1 of 4. The depth, the talent, and the community on show, thrilling us season after season. And welcome to SimSpeed TV's live coverage from Mexico City. Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, the brothers Ricardo and Pedro Rodriguez. Mexico City's Grand Prix circuit is named after them. To bring you live coverage today, David Haynes with Daniel Yeaman. Looking forward to it. What an exciting track this is.
Yeah, fingers crossed here indeed, David. Looking forward to seeing some good racing tonight. And, well, for me, getting back in the hot seat after unfortunately having to step aside. Big thanks to Jay Kennedy for making sure the broadcast and Season 28 kicked off smoothly here last week with you and Mr. Brady Baldwin.
Yep, it's great to have another season of V8 Vets underway, and this is a season absolutely stacked with Australian tracks. It began at Mount Panorama, it's going to end with a 300km enduro at Mount Panorama. In between, it's entirely Australian tracks, except for tonight, here at Mexico City. Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez again. Many layouts and configurations of this track. We are on the National, and that is what NASCAR raced last time they were here. Slightly different to the Formula One configuration, slightly different to the IndyCar around the outside of the baseball stadium configuration, but it is a really good layout for these cars.
Yeah, a bit of a divisive one too, though, David, with the fact that, well, if you haven't seen it already, I'm sure we'll get to it as well. But yeah, the grandiose, how to put it, or the liberal track limits, let's put it that way, or lack thereof, of any limit in most cases around this circuit, will be certainly a thing to see here tonight.
Yeah, this is a track that iRacing have done a lot of work on. The Grand Prix configuration has Formula One sponsors, Formula One pit lane, Formula One track limits, and the national layout has NASCAR sponsors, NASCAR pit lane speed limit, NASCAR track limits, and that means big tyre bundles at the apexes of turns 1, 2, and 3, but then also far less enforcement outside of that. It was a thrilling 150 kilometres from Mount Panorama a week ago. Luke Allman on the winning strategy, the correct side of the Long Beach situation. Daniel Yeaman gets 186 points to lead Jordan Ross, Justin McLean, Simon Haynes, and Shane Randall as our top 5. Travis Hunt, Paul Young, Kenneth Latta, Stephen Kennedy, and Scott Mackay inside of that top 10. It's going to be a very competitive season. Luke Allman away to that points lead, but with the defending champion Wayne Walker in good form, Jordan Ross scoring some points early, and then the teammates of Brian Borg and Jason Bentz, when it clicks for them, they are incredibly quick in these cars.
Yeah, indeed. So curious to see how things go. Looks like at the moment the standard order of operations is currently being put put to good effect in qualifying, but we'll talk about that when we bring up the qualifying results in about 5 or so minutes' time. But let's talk a bit more about the track, as I do have ourselves a track map we can have a look at from the top down as usual.
Yes, Mexico City is the capital of Mexico, and it's a big city. I think more than 20 million inhabitants, and it is at some altitude, something Australians are rarely accustomed to. I did look this up. Certainly, Bogota is higher than the top of Mount Kosciuszko. I think Mexico City is at about the same altitude as the top of Mount Kosciuszko. And you've got a really long front straight into the braking zone at turn 1. Track limits at the apex has some big tyre bundles there. We skip a tiny bit of the complicated section and cut through turn 4, then through the S's 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, another place the track limits becomes slightly controversial. And then into the baseball diamond at 12, 13, and 14. It's a bit tight, it's a little bit twisty, but it's really, really impressive to have the cars in the middle of the grand stadium section, and then it's out of the final corners. All of those other red lines you can see is the many, many configurations of this track that you can race on iRacing. As I've said, the Grand Prix configuration, the oval configuration, the Formula E configuration, so many different types, and we are on national. Yes, indeed. And I think, the fact also, like, the older historic layouts too as well. You mentioned them, David, when it comes to the IndyCar, Champ Car era when they came racing here, which bypassing the baseball stadium, since it didn't exist, if I'm not mistaken, back when those cars would have raced in the time. So, so many choices. You can only pick one on a given night, though, and so here we are with the national course. Probably the correct choice. I don't think Formula E layout would have gone down well. I'm not sure right turning oval would have been the correct configuration. But the dominant section of this track is that really long front straight. Just keeps on going after the timing line all the way down towards a big stop at turn 1. So the format, with 200 kilometers of racing ahead of us, is going to be 52 laps of this configuration, just 50 litres of starting fuel. Everyone's going to start on a very light fuel load, but the tank size itself is unrestricted at 100%, so that is big, wide strategy windows, but after what's going to be quite an early first stop. Yeah, well, that's interesting enough. Funnily enough, it's a case of they can stop really early tonight, David. Once again, this sort of situation we get with the unrestricted fuel tanks when they're provided here in the Vets. They will get a reasonable amount of the way through, but they can't even hit halfway. So I'll bring it up here for you on screen now, the full state of the strategy graph. So it's about 17 laps. Maybe if you're saving fuel in with a bit of draft and a bit of tow to work with, 18 laps might be on the cards tonight for the first 50 litres of fuel, but from there, then of course you can throw it wide open with a multitude of strategy options. So again, the Long Beach situation occurs when the critical lap number is so early that you could have made your 2 compulsory pit stops before some other drivers have made 1. We'll see how it happens around that, but it means that from about lap 7 to about lap 34, there's a big wide window of different strategies in play across this distance. Yeah, that will be sort of the thing to watch. You said it came up last week, in a 150k race, up another 50k's here tonight, and we open the doors up to even more strategical shenanigans should they be an option for the drivers here tonight. Well, qualifying is still about 40 seconds away, David. And of course, we do have, as well as our Zoom wall we could check in with. And you know what, let's have a look at them now whilst the drivers are coming to a close. We might get a few more drivers come in after that, so we'll probably check in with them after we do the grid as well. So how about double dip on the Zoom wall tonight? Well, our first course is John Latham's pedal cam, Sean McNamara. There is Mr. Stewart. The greatest racing tracks in the world. Mexico City's probably on that. Actually hosted Formula One back in the 60s, 70s-ish. So a lot of history here, not quite on this current configuration. Sean van der Meulen, again, seems to have lost his shirts. So that's 2 weeks in a row for Sean. And then Phil Manuel is G'ing himself up. Wayne Sanderson we're going to have to check in with later on, see if we can play Spot the Albums, because he loves to put up different, what I think is like vinyl record sleeves or prints of different famous albums up there, and sometimes we guess at least one of them. Some of them might be a little like before my time occasionally, but they're usually good albums. Simon Haynes with the triple screens, Travis Hunt with Cam Waters watching over his shoulder. Travis might have a new fridge there, or it's a new PC case. Some PC cases look like fridges. Wayne Walker, the defending champ, is ready to go. There's Damien Cairns, 94 BPM on the heart rate. That's good. Justin McLean's pedal cam as well. Dean Logsdale and Christian Smart.
Yep, that looks to be everyone for now. I'm just double checking one last thing for us here, folks. And yes, we can now bring you the information from qualifying. The session is over, and so without further much ado, let me get that up here on screen for you now. We can walk you through the grid in this warm-up phase.
What an exciting front row with a long run down towards turn 1 ahead of them. Wayne Walker on pole by 2/10. That is a big margin in this split one of SimRigs V8 Vets. Alongside him, Jordan Ross, also a previous champion. That is all class and quality on the front row. Row 2, Brian Borg, his first race win in V8 Vets last season. He starts from 3rd position alongside Sean McNamara, also a previous race winner, a championship leader in some previous seasons as well. He gets away from the 2nd row of the grid tonight.
I thought I might actually just quickly chime in here, David. I'm sure you probably saw the news earlier this week as well. This is also a bit of a momentous race for Sean, as he's made the decision, unfortunately, to say farewell to 9.5 SimSport. So this is our last race. We'll see the 9.5 colours on track for both Sean and Michael Stewart here tonight.
And him is Michael Stewart. There's Dan Hall in 6th. Good qualifying for him. Mark Poynton is 7th, and Justin McLean is 8th. Top 10 on the grid is Scott Mackay and Alex Kiddis. John Latham in 11th on the grid, ahead of Ken Latter in 12th. Wayne Sanderson is 13th, and there's Logan Barnett in 14th. Dean Logsdale is 15th, and Paul Young 16th. On the podium so many times last season, and starting pretty deep in the field tonight, ahead of Jason Bentz in 17th, newcomer to Split 1 and V8 Vets. Sean van der Meulen in 18th. No shirts from 18th position. Troy Stone Street in 19th. There's Travis Hunt in 20th. These drivers just a second away from pole position, but down there in 19th and 20th on the grid, it's always so competitive.
Without a doubt, indeed. Would you like me to jump in here, or do you want to keep going, David? I'm not quite sure where we're going to fit in with this one here. I'll do it. Shane Randell, P21 for him here tonight, with Stephen Kennedy sharing his 11th row alongside him in a lot of 5s and all Mustangs there. For those who drove film well for LMV Sim Racing, out of 23rd got Dean Flavel. Another different paint job from Dean. I wondered, did he do this last week? I'm curious, because it's less red, more yellow for the Dino Dyno in the 80 there tonight from 24th place. Christian Smart going to start from 25th with Luke Powell alongside him for P26. And Damon Fisher, Simon Haynes for 266 and WKMP sharing on row 14. And the 15th row going to have Jeff Thomas, who JWM SimSport with Brad Doble to his outside for the top 30 positions here.
It's a expanded grid for this season as well. Ron Allen in 31st and Bruce Tannock in 32nd. We had, I think, over 40 drivers at Mount Panorama. So much, and still some drivers couldn't get a spot on the grid this season. Matt Brunt in 33rd, Gary Buckland in 34th, Ricky Hyde in 35th, and Brett Horsell in 36th. There's Damien Cairns in 37th, Matthew Stoyles in 38th. Chad Lewis is 39th, and Jamie McKnight is 40th. That's actually an incredibly strong 39th and 40th on the grid, with John Gallen in 41st. That is every driver. We've also got our race control and safety cars if we need them. We did get safety cars at Mount Panorama, but here at Mexico City, I think there's just a little bit more space, but that is a big grid of 41 cars ready for a standing start down towards turn 1, 200 kilometers ahead of them.
Yes, indeed. A reminder of what they're facing here tonight now on screen. Just a hair over 200 kilometres. Once we do some rounding, 39 laps, the critical 75% marker for those who are in the hunt for championship points. And classification is the other number to keep in mind lap-wise, at least, David. And as you said, 50 litres they're going to start on here tonight. We've talked you through that's about 17 laps, 18 laps of fuel to start this race. Unrestricted fuel tank. And we'll see the drivers need to make their standard 2 compulsory stops with a very early critical lap for stop 2.
Now, I did see some of the track limits through the S's in the warm-up session, and ooh, that was exciting. But most of the rest of the track pretty well enforced through turns 1, 2, and 3. Big switchback opportunity there, and then things are very tight through the baseball stadium and the far national hairpin. There's Wayne Walker and Jordan Ross on the front row of the grid. They've got about a minute as we're waiting for a few more to appear. Weather pretty standard, 18 degrees Celsius in the air, 24 degrees Celsius on the track. The sun coming down, but the temperature's not outrageous. I don't think that this race is going to have a hydration break unless we do have a safety car. So standing start getaways have been challenging, and if you do bog down, wheel spin, make a mistake, you are going to be absolutely punished with the really long run towards the first turn of the track here. Something that Jordan Ross did struggle with at Bathurst. I'm sure he's going to be very careful here as they get ready to go. Walker from Ross, Borg, McNamara and Michael Stewart as the top 5. The green flag waves at Mexico. Our top 4 get away tidily, but there is a little bit of time lost for Brian Borg. Jordan Ross already being challenged by Sean McNamara, who's up to. Wayne Walker, no problems at all. Dan Hall getting a good getaway there as well. Now they've got a break into turn 1. This is perfect for Walker, perfect for McNamara. Bit of bumping doors there on the way into the apex at 1. Here's the tyres at 2 and 3.
Oh, no.
And it's a spin around for Logan Barnett. No, Michael Stewart by the looks of things. Ken Latter getting boxed in and parked up there as well. A lot of drivers losing time and positions. A couple of drivers picking up some slowdown penalties. But it's a good race start from Wayne Walker and Sean McNamara.
Oh, that's a real shame there to see for Michael Stewart. It's unfortunately gone very sideways for him there in the opening chicane to kick the race off here tonight. Looks like the car, though, has come away from that fair bit better than you might have feared, so I think he'll be able to continue on here without too much fuss. We'll have to see, though, the very last car running at the moment, how much he can recover from there. His teammate Logan Barnett, you can see here, is still running, thankfully, but up 11th. Actually has picked up some spots off the side of this race as we come into the 4 or so, and there we go. Very wide for, I think that might have been John Latham, having a bit of a moment there in the Shadow Racing Mustang. Oh!
And then hitting the wall on the exit of the baseball diamond. We remain green though. Wayne Walker has crossed the start-finish line, so the compulsory pit stop window will open the next time around. Massive long run down the front straight, peak speeds over 270 kilometers an hour by the looks of things. John Latham is trying to find the clean racing line, but also trying to find the slipstream as he breaks in towards turn 1. Going to turn across and hold his position. Looks like Jason Bent's moving around, trying to make up some positions. He's +2 in this race so far. And he will be alongside, looking for the outside line to try to take 14th place. Wayne Sanderson on the better line there will just hold off. This is those S's where the track limits are, you've just got to be on the inside of the tyre bundles, apparently. And that's leading drivers to be all over the place. Like here.
There's a lot of options to not be afraid of the circuit here in Mexico City. In fact, almost be tempted to say, let's jump on board with someone like Wayne Walker out front for now and let him show you how it's done for the moment. He's going to clock in the early fastest lap of the race there, 29.426 for his first flying lap in full here tonight. As look here at Wayne Walker now, 1.5 seconds clear at the moment, David. And I was just thinking, see here, these guys at the front, they'll be really pushing the track where it makes sense to. Like, how about there into turn 12? The car really struggling to pull up for Wayne, and then in behind, Jordan Ross and Sean McNamara getting all kinds of sideways at low speed. Grip here is at a premium. The drama Jimenez Rodriguez, despite pleasant conditions out on the circuit by the looks of things. We've got this battle here for P2 between Ross and McNamara. Dan Hall in close company with Brian Bork here for 4th as well. And ourselves a bit more of a pack here. P6 on backwards. At least Mark Ford and Scott Mackay in close company here for these guys. And then the next 3 cars of Alex Kiddis, Logan Barnett, as just as I peel off Justin McLean, he's picked up a black flag from race control. So first of the lap 1 incidents, I believe they're receiving a review and a decision from the team of stewards. And for Mr. McLean, it's unfortunately not gone his way.
be the first driver we've seen through the pit lane, though. Jeff Thomas has made a scheduled stop. Sean Vandermeulen, I think, had to stop for some damage. So the drive-through from McLean will be the third driver to go through the pit lane here. And there's two different versions of the pit lane, and this is iRacing have built a NASCAR version, and so the NASCAR pit rules apply. It's that big braking zone at turn 1.
So we can pick up that lap on turn 1 incident again, perhaps, David, just to pick up. I tried to catch it as it went down into the corner and just see where Justin McLean got himself in a bit of hot water with the stewards, perhaps. Got our first SimRigs replay of the night here. And I think it was with Michael Stewart, so we'll start with him, but we'll jump around differently.
So there's a little bit of the contact going in. We're 3 wide through here. I'll be honest, I didn't immediately see anything that looks like a penalty there. I looked like we went 3 wide through a switchback series of corners, and then Ken Latta, what's happening with him back there? Again, it's just 3 wide, and it's so difficult. So this is McLean. Tiny bit of contact to try to get down the inside here.
Ken Latta, you said. Let's have a look at him as well, because he said he's all tangled up in this. My overhead, there we go. Overhead shot looks like it might be helpful. So he's further on back. Touch from Wayne Sanderson there in the middle, it looks like. And then unfortunately he also gets Shane Randell in the aftermath.
Yeah, he's the third driver around the outside of turn 2, isn't he? So he's got 2 drivers on his inside, and the middle driver leaves a lot of space to the inside driver. So there's not a whole lot of space on the outside for Ken Latta, who didn't really squeeze, but it's just... You're the car in the middle of the corner, and you're looking how much space to one side, how much space to the other. Everything happens so quickly on that opening lap as well, and it feels vaguely just predictable as well once you're 3 wide going into that sequence of corners and the track limits with the immovable tyre bundles as well. Jordan Ross into second place, closing a little bit of the margin down to Wayne Walker, down to 1.6 seconds there, pulling away from Sean McNamara, Brian Borg and Dan Hall in 4th and 5th, and then another little gap to find Mark Poynton in 6th with Scott Mackay, Alex Kiddis, Logan Barnett and Paul Young just behind, and this is Wayne Sanderson battling Travis Hunt and Jason Bentz. Hunt is up 6 positions so far in this race, and this might be 7 because he's down the inside of Wayne Sanderson. We've seen this long right-hander here, the national hairpin. Car on the right-hand side tends to win, and that's why Bentz wants to get in there as well.
Elbows out in the stoush, but everyone gets out the other side, which is what we like to see, although now a bit of defensive driving from Sanderson's. Bentz is prodding and poking at his rear bumper there, and they'll get out the other side just in the order they came in.
Worked out well for Travis Hunt because now he gets to get away as Bentz and Sanderson side by side into the arena. Is that... Nope, that's fine track limits apparently for Bentz, but then he's on a super tight line through the left-hander and he's still stuck behind Wayne Sanderson. Bit of a group beginning to form because Stephen Kennedy, Troy Stone Street and Damon Fisher have gotten a little bit closer, and that's diving for pit entry. You do need to be tight out of that right-hander to make the pit entry. Paul Young comes in, Damon Fisher comes in. Lap 7, a few drivers are coming in. We had Ken Latta a lap ago, but how about the slipstream for Jason Bentz down the front straight following behind Wayne Sanderson and then peaking to the inside. Really long braking zone. Sanderson's going to try to cross back. Bence has got this mostly covered until turn 3. Sanderson get a better exit there, not quite.
Just a bit of jostling here tonight with the drivers on track is Christian Smart, next driver to get a black flag from race control. Apologies there, as I was just listening into that. I apparently decided to short circuit my own hearing and quite catch which other car and was involved in that one there. So Christian's down in P30 at the moment, so it's a bit of a ways back from where we've been watching so far tonight, David. As he will now have to take a reasonably lengthy detour down the lane to sort that one out.
Side by side into what's almost the final corner. Stone Street versus Kennedy. Dean Flavel got a bit of a NASCAR-inspired livery going on. Makes me want to buy some yellow and black power tools, I think. He's watching Stone Street just defend the inside a little bit. Then you've got the car back to the correct line for 2 and 3. Turn 3 pretty important, as we have seen. It's no taking the turn 4 in here.
Pardon me, on stop, not more than compulsory. It's a couple of those. Only being mob squad. Just come out with this here.
Van der Meulen's first stop, I think, was also too early. Jason Bence coming into the pit lane, so he's going to get out of that battle. Leaders carry on, but Jordan Ross is taking a couple of tenths out of Wayne Walker's lead as we go along. It was 2 seconds, now it's 1.4. That's Ross just getting a little bit closer, leaving Sean McNamara behind. Brian Borg and Dan Hall just behind in 4th and 5th.
Leave us up here, we'll see what it changes to. Walker's come to the pit lane there off the final turn, so he's going to get one of his first stops done a little earlier than what the fuel range will.
A successful strategy a week ago was get that first stop done early, and really worked out for Luke Hallman, and it burnt Wayne Walker just a little bit, so maybe he's looking to cover it that way. You have had about half of the field stop at this point. Latham in behind, we get a couple more in the next lap or two. This is the NASCAR style pit wall with the concrete blocks rather than the F1 style garage. It moves down into turn 1. Logan Barnett versus Scott Mackay. Alex Kiddis just behind them. Barnett starting a bit deeper in the field than some of his teammates, has already made up some spots, but again, he hasn't stopped, and so have a lot of the drivers that would have been around him in the opening laps of this race. Had Wayne Walker's pit stop and John Latham's pit stop, we also get Troy Stonestreet, Travis Hunt, Dean Flavel, Brad Doble. So you can see the right-hand side of the screen is very busy with drivers taking their first stop a little earlier than necessary. It's deep though from Barnett at the tight left-hand hairpin. Scott Mackay close him up just a little bit. Jordan Ross reacts to Wayne Walker's pit stop from the lead of the race. These three drivers all stay out. And Mike Poynton come in, so Sean McNamara goes to the lead of the race with Brian Borg behind him. Wayne Walker's stop was 23 seconds. Jordan Ross has a decision to make about how much fuel he puts into his car.
Yeah, do you get a long stop done here tonight to get yourself in a favourable position for a safety car, and drivers that will slow down prior to stopping, or do you instead take a short stop, try and find a good bit of track position, minimise your flat time loss and take a bit of pain, should be potentially get the safety car later. So far, well, touch wood, we've made it to lap number 12, it's partially, we're still going here.
Top 11 drivers that haven't pitted, and Wayne Walker has come out with just a little bit of traffic but with newer tyres, so that's the battle for him to take. Roses of Gary Buckland, and then there's a lap down car in there, and there is Jordan Ross taking about the same amount of fuel as Wayne Walker but been undercut by one lap, and the margin between them has grown to 2.7 seconds. I wonder if Walker didn't attack the pit entry, pit exit, and the pit lane speed limit a little bit more aggressively as well. So I'm seeing a similar stop time, but maybe just half a second more lane time for Jordan Ross. It looks like this has all gone pretty well for Wayne Walker.
Yeah, spot there indeed. Pretty much right on the money for stationary time, but a second gained in the pits. Indeed, so it's a rather successful inside. Plus perhaps a bit of time getting in. Cut loss, they're going to go inside of lap traffic in the way.
So the 9 drivers who've stayed out can't go too much further, and then eventually it seems like Wayne Walker will end up back in the race lead. Jordan Ross, Dan Hall with a 24-second stop is still sort of racing Brian Borg and Sean McNamara on the deltas, but the undercut on the newer tyres should help Dan Hall just a little bit. Logan will come in. McNamara stays out in the lead for at least one more here.
It's probably getting about high time to jump into the pits, not just for fuel, but also a bit of traffic here on the road for Sean, but it's making it work nicely for him here at this stage. Paul Young, the next driver to get a race control flag. They're starting to fly pretty thick and fast here, David.
Yes, Paul Young with a drive-through. We also had 1, 2, 3 is Bruce Tannock, who had a penalty and appears maybe to have parked it up. couple of penalties that have come through. One of the things is it's not just that turns 1, 2, and 3, but a few of the drivers on pit entry were sort of struggling if they had a car right behind them to make their pit entry. Here comes Sean McNamara, but Brian Borg is the one to stay out, interestingly. So McNamara, with that great initial getaway, ran in second place for a bit, dropped back to third. He's going to need to try to fend off Dan Hall, who's already made the stop, and Brian Borg, who's running long, to try to get on the podium today. The top two drivers already looking like it's going to come down to a battle between Wayne Walker and Jordan Ross.
Exciting, will be exciting to watch as we get to that point in the race. But for now, stay tuned for that one. Eventually at the later stage. Now comes McNamara, as I was thinking, maybe we need to check him and see how he's driving. You know what? Coming out of the pits, it's just a bit of time to see how the man's feeling about the race, and I'd say it's reasonably posed the driver and team owner of 95 SimSport, which, yeah, a bit of a shame to hear that Sean's decided to hang up the team ownership gloves, but looking to go out on a high note here tonight, David, on behalf of the team. Selfless was said, Evan Barnett, should be split one at least as well. Also, the final race for SimSport has been over current.
Across the journey, they've done some spectacular retro liveries, put together good merch, and McNamara is wearing his own there. Brian Borg and Alex Kiddis are in. This might be the first stop completed for everybody by the end of this lap. That's how it's going. So Walker still with a car between himself and Jordan Ross. That gap was closing, but then the first pit stop has all just helped out Wayne Walker a little bit more. Finn Kennedy's going to go into a 16th lap as Borg and Kiddis come in. Right, Borg's going to elevate a spot or two. And you can take a peek at the speed. 270 is pretty quick. McNamara running in 5th now, but it will be 3rd once we get the first pit stops from everyone. He's 4 seconds up the road from Dan Hall. Brian Borg, with a very long pit stop, has absolutely brimmed the thing, perhaps. 28 seconds for Borg. It's 4 seconds more fuel than Dan Hall, who is only 3 seconds behind. So that could come back and switch the final pit stops if Borg keeps up his race pace in this middle stint.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it's wrong. Based on my numbers, that's not brimming, but it is decided to take a bit more now in the hopes it'll pay off towards the end of this race as other car come. Let's put those numbers back up on the screen. Yeah. So yeah, awesome. So, it's 5 seconds of fuel, which also works out main time for 4. If we get a safety car, and if his pace here is solid, that should allow him to gain a little bit back as field shuffle continues. Watch the end of this pit cycle here at the start of lap 17 for our leaders. Back Chad Lewis now. Last pass to finish service there. He'll roll away now. Sam Stephen Kennedy there. Also
Seems like new liveries across the board for the M1 Racing guys as well. And he's going to blend out, challenging for 15th place with Damon Fisher, Dean Flavel, and Brad Doble. If I got a gauge on the abrasiveness of the track surface here, or the temperature of it, how quickly the tyres drop off, but you would expect a expect. So you also spend a lot of time with lateral load in the car here, with the S's section that they're just approaching. From here, you spend the next 20 seconds almost always turning.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Now on a car like this, it doesn't really get any respite between the turns until now, where it gets a straightaway to recoup. But even then, you're picking up speed again to make your way down to this baseball stadium. So, yeah, I haven't done a lot of extended driving around here myself, but even with the conditions being relatively mild in this one tonight, not be afraid to hazard a guess that anyone who tries to undercut, they'll like the benefit of the first lap or two, David, but for a longer run, they'll be starting to hurt.
So with the first pit stop complete, there's space for everyone inside of the top 5, but there are some trains and battle packs elsewhere. Highest battle for position is Scott Mackay versus Logan Barnett. Looks like Barnett has been catching him over the last couple of laps, and then Travis Hunt and Wayne Sanderson in 11th and 12th. Travis Hunt has gone the Brian Borg route and absolutely loaded up on fuel. Ken Latta early and short stop in 13th, just ahead of Matt Brunt. Damon Fisher, Dee Flavel, and Brad Doble. Fisher also with a long first stop, could be a name to continue to rise up the list. You can see there's a few drivers with many positions gained so far tonight. Plus 19 for Matt Brunt, plus 12 for Brad Doble. Damon Fisher, plus 11.
Check that run. Part of that may be slightly down to the strategic call to shorten up his first stop relative to seeing generally from the drivers tonight. But nevertheless, that play appears to have been a pretty good call on his behalf. So we're going to try one here with Ken Latta, who's also done a similar thing. So they're about these guys are about 5 seconds shy of the approximate average of 23 to 24 seconds of fuel in the stop. We'll have to see if that works for them. The lighter car that might be able to go a little faster here in this middle phase of the race.
Him and Ken have got a bit of clean air in front of them, and they're both quite quick at the moment, so might be able to make some up before they have to make that second stop and take a little bit more pain there. Lead gap holding steady, about 3 seconds. So Rossi being able to make margins earlier on and not doing quite so much now. Since Brian Borg has also caught Dan Hall, who had a very scruffy last lap. 6 from Hall. Well, everyone around him is in sort of 29s, 30 flats. So that's helping Ryan Borg just a little bit. They'll head down the front straight, and I can see the speed advantage that Brian Borg has in the slipstream. 2 kilometers an hour, 3 kilometers an hour, and it's a really long straight. So he'll go down the inside, try to take 4th place away, and he's got 4 lap fresher tyres to do all of this with as well. So Borg up into 4th, and Hall back into 5th. Borg now still 6 seconds behind Sean McNamara, who he has a 4-second fuel advantage too. So if Borg can get about 2 seconds further up the road, he will be challenging Sean McNamara for that podium once they make their second stop.
Settled yet for Brian Borg to be able to maximise his race rate, but it's the time to do it if now being clear of Dan Hall. Head to cams on the Justin McLean and John Lowe from Paris. Drive for penalty early on. Certainly that. He's also a bit of the dumps in the lap down, so might say the pedal came from him. Let's have a look and see who else is in some of the pedal switches. Paul Young on the back of Phil Manuel and Brad Roberts outside the top 20. Looking at his camera once again tonight. Over shoulder shot we saw last season back once again here, David. Here's his run here to try and get back after his own penalty as well. It's zoom balls and penalties and misfortunes apparently
Drive-through penalty was 23 seconds for Paul Young, so that's the sort of pit lane transit time. It's a little bit more mathematically intensive to work out exactly what the delta loss is, because sometimes it's less than that number because you shortcut a little bit with the pit entry, or the pit exit is in fact further down the track than the pit entry is. It takes time even on the racetrack to cover that distance. Then here, you'll be at the pit lane speed limit as you exit the lane, and then there's a really long run where you'll be losing time all the way down towards turn 1. So a drive-through could be, in fact, quite costly here. Always a temptation to have a dive down the inside when you're inside the baseball stadium section, but Paul Young resists just behind Brad Doble. And then a really difficult traction zone coming onto the front straight here, because the road keeps turning, but you're flat out from a little earlier than that. Brad Doble has the slipstream from Phil Manuel, makes it more difficult for Paul Young to get down the inside. Slipstream just helping Brad Doble there. Jordan Ross has a killer slowdown penalty right now. He's just managed to serve and clear it, but it's cost him almost 2 seconds. Don't know where he got it, but it took him a long time to clear it, and he was losing big chunks to Wayne Walker.
There's not too many places here, but the S's section at the back of the circuit. There's a couple of apexes where you do have to actually respect the white lines, where there is a giant tyre bundle to try and physically dissuade you. Just thinking 2 seconds slowdown for Ross, presuming it came around that similar area of the track too, when you said picking up the exit. They're supposed to have just cleared the opposite. So there's the one sort of part of this race where it's like, well, you can have freedom, but we're also going to still keep you on a leash, if only just.
So that opens up the gap between first and second place. Jordan Ross is leading Wayne Walker in the championship at the moment. The defending champ Wayne Walker looking very strong here at Mexico City for the moment. And they're on very similar strategies. Different strategies between Sean McNamara and Brian Borg. It still keeps them 6 to 7 seconds apart. That's working out pretty well for Sean McNamara. Provisional live standings, exclusive of penalties or bonus points on the right of the screen, would have Jordan Ross still leading Wayne Walker in this situation. Have you already baked in the pole position point to that?
That should include tonight's pole position bonus and the ongoing total for laps led as well, and the fastest lap bonus for stage 2. So everything that can be tracked in the circuit except for the 0x incident bonus is the iRacing session admin to be able to have that tracked correctly. And the zoom bonus, because that's obviously a custom one.
Okay, I have Jordan Ross as fastest lap of the race at the moment.
Jordan Ross, if I'm I'm seeing a 29.639 for Jordan as well. Do you have the same for Jordan?
I have a 29.415 for Jordan Ross.
I see that 29.415, but it's not logging on my side as is valid fast. So, was there something there or not? I do not know.
That's wide though. Coming into the baseball stadium, they can get the far side of the curb, but he really far side of the curb, and then almost made it narrow into the next hairpin section. Ross clawing back just a couple of tenths as we go versus Wayne Walker, and there's still a long distance to go here for SimRigs V8 Vets from Mexico City. So absolutely anything can still happen, and very well might, in that mini battle. And then also monitoring what's happening in the battle for the podium between McNamara, Borg and Hall. And then Damon Fisher, one of our big movers, Michael Stewart, turned around very early in this race after a good qualifying. Yes.
I have to refer to the actual Zoom feed rather than our lovely little picture-in-picture shot, but there is indeed the Zoom bubble there. Size doesn't have a better look at it on the screen.
As that's happened, Michael Stewart's gone ahead of Damon Fisher and up into 16th place. Very tidy move at turn 1. So just a good exit off the final corner, big slipstream down the front straight. And then the inside and stopping the car correctly on the inside of the turn 1. Okay, many global series have been here. IMSA, Rolex Grand Am sports cars, kart, Formula E, Formula 1, NASCAR. So it's going to be one of the greatest racing tracks in the world. It's certainly one of the most prolific. Everyone believes in the passion of the fans, and most series they usually get a local driver to cheer for as well. In the case in Formula 1, in Formula E, in NASCAR, and in IMSA.
Yeah,
there it is, just next to Kota?
Yeah, that's Kota,
Pike
right?
Peak?
Yeah, that would have to be. And then the circuit on its left. Oh, which is that one? It kind of looks like an older version of Long Beach. But
What was the one in Monterey?
I'm not sure who it was in this stretch.
Because then I think the oval below it is Puebla. I think there's a couple of Mexican tracks on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's sort of unfortunately, yeah. It's the geographical lessons of the map, unfortunately, are drawing blanks. It's just see all the American ones in the small.
Nope, I just looked at a map of Fundadora Park and that is not it. Okay, have to inspect that some other time. It's now beginning to close in on that front. It's very old tyres. So he might be able to make another spot up there. He's moving along mighty quickly. Horsell, Ron Allen, and Matthew Stoyles. All these drivers have made one stop, but Horsell's was very early, so his tyres are already 21 laps old, so older than the two drivers behind him, Ron Allen and Matthew Stoyles. Buckland, the freshest of the lot of them. So he's leading the group in 26th position at the moment. Already just past the halfway point, and we've had one or two drivers make their second compulsory pit stop. It's Phil Manuel and Dean Logsdale by the looks of things. Justin McLean maybe also, but that's more challenging to read. But for most of the leading cars, they've still got a pit stop ahead of them. That's still to play out for Ron Hall versus Sean McNamara. Looks like McNamara's got him covered. Dan Hall in 5th has had Mark Poynton close him up from 6th position. So after qualifying 6th, Dan Hall's run in 4th or 5th position for quite a lot of this race. Across the last 2 laps, what Mark Poynton's been able to do. 26, good. Lap 27, even better. Lap 28. Now that begins to form a trend.
Yeah, speed looks to be there for Poynton. Dan Hall's going to have to work some magic to keep him at bay.
And Scott Mackay just behind, doing pretty similar pace to Mark Poynton, it must be said. So there could be a bit of change that begins to brew inside of the top 10. Flurry of pit stops from Matt Brunt, Jeff Thomas and Shane Randell. We are going to see stop number 2 from a bunch of these drivers. Drivers though, Horton Poynton stay out. Looks like Poynton has a good exit onto the front straight, just about 2 car lengths behind Dan Hall. It's full throttle, tall gears. Speed does Poynton have? Already 3 kilometers an hour. Dan Hall to the right hand side of the road. Mark Poynton, massive amount of momentum here, but not quite enough to go around the outside of 1. Needs a braking mistake from Dan Hall that is not forthcoming. Just hold on to that 5th place for the moment. Poynton's closed him up and got a really good run on the front straight.
Still brewing as we're in the second half of the race now. He's going to be one of the ones to how's this here? With no safety cars yet tonight, the top 5 going to work their way through the traffic. Poynton makes will run defensive. Catch up with the moment there. Right. Just 4 cars. Yeah, Shane Randall, Jeff Thomas, Jason Benstein, Logstaff here all together behind Brian Ward. As Dan Hall peels off the seed for now.
Yeah, you've got some sort of overlapping battles there. So they are battling each other for position in this group. They're in between Brian Borg in 4th and Mark Poynton in 5th. Ken Latta and Michael Stewart also come to make their second pit stop with this 2 compulsory pit stop race. The typical format for V8 Vets, but occasionally it's been tinkered with a little bit. Track limits are occasionally a suggestion at Mexico City, or indeed at everywhere that NASCAR goes. Just behind Jason Benz, who still needs to make a second stop. Very long first stop from Jason Benz. Or did you say that you thought he joined, like pit lane started or joined the race late?
My stuff has Benz having only completed 1 pit stop. A grand total of 1 minute 24 seconds close, which is way more than top 3. So something seems to have been up for the number 100. Boris Stangle's machine here just in front of them with the LMV number 16 and his 1 p.m. tonight. So Jason has to come back and it's going to tonight. So that is emotional. So we'll wait and see when that might be. He's been out there for 20 laps. So he came in early, so stretch this one phase the race out. If we can get a bit of a handful in some spots.
Well, not this time. Not quite yet. Wayne Walker, with 20 laps to go, leads 5 seconds from Jordan Ross, so he's extended that just a little bit. McNamara still pulling in 3rd from Brian Borg. Logan Barnett comes into pit from 5th place. So that could be an attempt to try to undercut Brian Borg or Dan Hall, perhaps. Christian Smart's just ahead of Sean Vandermeulen. Those two have made 1 stop. Paul Young has, I think, made 1 stop and a drive-through? No, 2 stops and a drive-through. Behind Smart and Vandermeulen, who have both done the same.
Smart's had a drive-through tonight from Vandermeulen.
No, he had a 1 pit stop, but it was outside of the CPS window. And Paul Young's just gone past in there, and Paul Young did a drive-through.
Just as I was going to say, hey, look, we've got multiple drivers on Zoom again. The multi-zoom isn't working. We can do it on this. We have chicken and otherwise. I'm still going to do it as a There's Walker and Ross both into the pit lane meanwhile. Through here.
They should have pit stalls next to each other. First and second on the grid will have pit stalls 1 and 2. So service ongoing for Wayne Walker and Ross coming in with about a 5-second race lead and nailing it all just a little more than Jordan Ross did the first pit stop. Second one could be similar. Walker's done and moving. Jordan Ross with a quicker stop.
At the end.
Onto the front straight. There's a bunch of other drivers in front of them head to lane. Busy place right now. 18 laps to go. Smart has just a couple of looks in the mirrors. How far back is that guy? Just a little bit too far back, you would think. Smart doing plenty of checking his mirrors halfway down the straight and then aiming for his braking zone and his braking markers.
A battle here is, Christian, no. Cut away from him and he ends up around backwards.
Engine briefly died, but he refired it. He's gotten going again and he held his line there, but it was not clear at all which was the way to go in that moment. It's a tough spot there, very street circuit feeling in the middle of the sports stadium. Christian Smart is going to come in. So is Brian Borg. He's been leading the race for a lap or two since Wayne Jordan Ross pitted, and he is fighting for a podium here versus Sean McNamara and Dan Hall. After their respective pit stops, Dan Hall's still ahead of Mark Poynton, but that's a battle that could close up. Some chaos heading down towards turn one before they all look to get single file. This should be quicker stop from Brian Borg based on how long the first stop was. We'll see how well measured out this is.
As you said though, that stint relatively McNamara was. He didn't quite find pace. So I have to hope that
close.
Coming out now. Yeah, look, actually not too bad.
That's Brian Borg exiting the pit lane as Sean McNamara races down the front straight, and you see how much further the car out on track continues to pull for the whole length of the straight as the car from pit lane accelerates from the pit lane speed limit of 64.
Call it 40 miles an hour officially. Given the update. Last big build, meaning we now have the speed limits to a decimal place, which seems to be rather handy to conversions and vice versa. Certainly faster than they're used to most of the time here.
Tiny bit of traffic. We saw Christian Smart have his issue and then make his pit stop. Now he's in between Sean McNamara and Brian Borg battle for the final step on the podium. Smart has a moment and it checks up Brian Borg, who's going to lose time because of that. Right now, in the tyres at their best for Brian Borg. Needing this. Off and into the marbles was Christian Smart as he let Sean McNamara go. Now it's turning in off the curb. He didn't mean to do that. but it wasn't what Brian Borg needed.
Unfortunate there. It happened. But they survive and carry on. So things are calming down a touch now, or at least to the point where race control deciding it's not necessary to get their elbows out and start dealing with things too severely. It's closing down the laps into the final third, past the final third of the race. David. And the cycle for the top 8 is done.
The next battle is 5th place and 6th place. Dan Hall and Mark Boynton both made their final stop. Mark Boynton's got 1 lap fresher tyres here. And again, has to close back in to range behind Dan Hall. I've got lap down Jason Bentz just in front of them. And ahead of that is Brian Borg, his teammate, for 4th position. So Boynton making another just 1 or 2 tenths of a second gain here. 5th and 6th, they have been able to fend off the challenge from some of those other drivers like Scott Mackay and Logan Barnett, who looked like they were going to be a little bit closer behind this fight in the middle stint.
Yeah, we wait to see now if the battle will resume here between Paul and Boyd. Certainly, good little dice that took a couple of laps to fully eventuate in that middle stint. Looks like will be happening here again in due course.
Side-by-side battling through turn 3 at the moment. Yeah, so you just had Jeff Thomas versus Matt Brunt. Now you get Luke Powell versus Dean Logsdale. There's Shane Randall versus Ricky Hyde. I think you had Powell, Logsdale and Randall 3 wide on the exit of turn 3, heading up to the turn 4 hairpin into the S's. For everyone else around Dean Logsdale. But he is one of our top performing V8 Vets drivers, so that will give an indication as to exactly how much new tyres are worth, because if he's floundering here in 26th, we'll know that those tyres have really taken a hit.
Not really Dean's night tonight. It's a little off the mark we've come to expect from him over the course of the last couple of seasons. So there's one, so it's a case of, was there something we missed tonight for Logsdale that we didn't make ourselves aware of, that perhaps I've added to it? Well, maybe it's just a case of didn't quite get the practice he was looking for. It doesn't gel with the car track combination. All those possibilities.
Sure looks like Powell's going quick. He's also getting closer to Matt Brunt and Jeff Thomas there. So now that he's sort of held off Logsdale, there's 1 or 2 cars in front of him he could close up as well. 10-lap old tyres for Thomas and Brunt, but they're only just on the 4th lap for Luke Powell, so his strategy has him at a tyre advantage, needing to make a couple of passes here. Borg is very close to McNamara.
Is he? Well, check in on that. Indeed. Oh, well, hello. That's definitely a fair bit closer than it was when we last saw these two. So the tyre, the overcut early on here to come out on a fresher set of treads. That seems to be coming together nicely here for Brian Borg. One away past the 9.5 team leader, though, to steal this podium place away. So this will be one to watch in the laps to come. So Randell was in this 36. This is pretty damn good for the action. Nice control. Something extra in the background. Keep in mind. Now this gap between McNamara and Borg is pretty much dead on the same gap that we can see between Dan Hall and Mark Borg. So, third and fifth. The hot properties on the racetrack right now, David. Further afield, another battle that's pretty close here for 14th place. Sanderson, Stephen Kennedy, Paul Young just breaking clear of Michael Stewart and Damon Fisher in behind.
This is the switch back through turns 2 and 3 that can happen. And there's a couple of switchback sections through the track, the S's, but also here. You can see McNamara doesn't want to open up the inside line to invite Brian Borg to have a dive, but then means he allows Brian Borg to go the other side, open up tidy exit, and then it all builds up onto the front straight. Again, 2 car lengths back. We've seen this play out a few times before. Slipstream's there, but you need to be sort of this close or a tiny bit closer. Can you imagine Borg brave on the brakes? Car length back here. As we move to the braking zone, Borg has a look, waits for McNamara to begin braking, dives down the inside, but he dives in too deep. Ambitious from Brian Borg, will not get that third place.
Yep, that was an unfortunate error there to make, because look how much time he's sacrificed in the process. As Mark Point and Dan Hall, they're going at it as well.
Dan Hall's got to hold on to his 5th place. Mark Poynton is moving him to all of the parts of the racetrack we don't normally see used. Hall's going to defend the inside line into the turn 4 hairpin. Rarely see someone successfully go around the outside there, but there's so much pressure building consistently with a long way to go in this race. 10 laps at the line. Hall's going to have to do a lot to hold Mark Poynton back. McNamara might be bringing Borg back now that he's already seen a mistake out of him. Borg may have damaged those tyres and cost a little bit of the advantage that he had.
Yeah, that'll be one thing to watch. Keep the battle on track, as well as obviously watch the tower. Those gaps are updating for you in real time. Is not a great line through the stadium for Hall, but it actually helps him check Poynton up and deny a clean run. Get to the exit here, trying to find grip. Both drivers getting a little sideways on the start-finish stretch. Let's see who that helps or hinders the most this time. Turn 1.
As the challenge as the tyres get older, you're still turning as you're trying to accelerate out of that final corner, and both of them found themselves leaning on the left rear corner and moving it around a little bit. Hall from hitting the apex curb and Poynton from just being a bit too ambitious with the throttle. This is where they battled a lap ago, and Poynton seemed stronger through turns 2 and 3, but then Hall covered him off down towards turn 4, which he might need to do again. Looking backwards for Dan Hall in 5th place. Poynton with a late switch to the inside won't outfox Dan Hall.
My attempt to track Poynton there might have made that look a little more dramatic than it was. But indeed, Dan Hall unfazed on that particular attempt. Not showing the nose, so this one will continue again. A few corners more.
Stadium. Forosol. That's the lesson learned coming out of the final corner. Hall starts wide. Goes back to kiss the apex. Poynton does similar. Both of them more restrained this time, and Poynton about the same distance behind. You've got to be about a half a car length closer, it seems, based on the battle between these two before and the battle between McNamara and Borg. So Poynton will look. He's not close enough. Surprisingly difficult to make a move here in Mexico City if you don't have a big tyre offset. So a few of these battles we're seeing between high quality drivers and very similar age tyres, the overtake looks difficult, or made it look very difficult, and Mark Poynton has been just that little bit quicker, but not enough. They both get just one car between Hall and Poynton.
This seems it's a case tonight. What can you do to force your opponent into an unforced error more than what can you do? Everything else is pretty level playing. So yeah, these drivers both pushing their cars as best they can. Stay away from the marbles that are growing off the racing line. But otherwise, get these cars around as fast as they can. Slight variations there, like that line through the closing turn. These two drivers. Poynton looks close this time. Let's see what happens. This might be the chance.
A little bit wiggly, but he did use all of the road. He did stay close, and eventually he's going to fancy himself an opportunity. Dan Hall thinks he's close enough that he's got to cover Mark Poynton off, and then they break into turn one. A long way around the outside to succeed here, but Poynton is around the outside of one, to be alongside in two, to be around the outside of three. He's a better exit there if he's going to get Dan Hall, because otherwise Hall will just come off and cover that inside at four. You can't really get around the outside of such a long corner. Quality battling, and Poynton's trying different things now. That a straight move down the inside of turn one hasn't come off.
This section. Not close enough to be in a position to spring a surprise trap for Dan Hall just yet, as they both make their run out of those S's. Actually, one other little thing to keep in mind. Dan Hall could call in some reinforcement here if he can hold on for just long enough and not slow things down too much. But that's Scott Mackay just in behind the two of them here. Might we get ourselves an ERT sandwich with some frog leaf juice filling if this continues on?
French cuisine. So Dan Hall remains ahead of Mark Poynton, and we just keep checking who gets the better drive off the final corner lap after lap. And they cost themselves quite a bit of time battling side by side that previous lap. It did let Scott Mackay get about a second closer. And Dan Hall's setting up to play a repeat again. Not going to give Poynton the inside. But he has a little bit of a lock-up and contact with Poynton as Poynton tried to go around the outside of one to get that inside of two again, rather than doing a switchback. Lock-up from Dan Hall heading towards the apex.
Right as this one heats up with that little moment there, just going to have to cut away for a moment because this gap has closed up again. So this battle for the final podium step. Wayne Walker on the radio. What's he?
Well, the leaders have worked their way through a lot of traffic. We've seen Jordan Ross have to get his elbows out to work through some traffic. Wayne Walker undoubtedly has had to do similar because just one lap down to them, they had been working through all sorts of battles, like Randell versus Chad Lewis, Dean Logsdale, a few quick drivers, and some multi-car battles that were just bringing the leaders back. This is Wayne Walker. Wayne Walker losing a little bit more time at that lead. Borg right on McNamara.
Yes, yeah. It was just a call for something about traffic. There's in behind him, Lap traffic battling between Shane Randall and Shadows. We'll check in with it later. Oh, as Randall goes around, because here we go. It's back on again at T1. Oh, there's more hit this time. Boynton's ahead though on the exit.
And he gets out wide there, super slideways. And as Dan Hall has backed up Mark Boynton, Scott Mackay joins the battle, boxes him in, a little bit of contact between them in a straight line, heading towards turn 4. Kidder's just in the background. Suddenly, no one wants to cede 5th place, and it's creating a cork in the bottle here. Mackay gets up to 6th. Is Dan Hall going to defend him, or how friendly is the radio chat?
This could be interesting, yeah, because if Mackay's managed his car a fraction better, he might have better tyres. He has that same 1 lap younger set the slicks relative to his teammate Dan Hall. Now you've got a fired up front wing, because that changed the equation. You set the run it, Alex Peterson now joining the frame. It's going to be a 5-way fight for the final spot in the top 5. As McNamara and Borg further on down the straight. Here we go, Borg again.
He's never shy on the brakes, is Brian Borg. He has pulled that up for turn 1. He wasn't far enough out to get ahead of Sean McNamara. McNamara keeps 3rd place. Just behind them is a battle for position 1 lap down, and that's sort of the challenge that the leaders have had with the traffic here at Mexico City, because it will be Randall battling Simon Haynes and Matthew Stores. Again, group of drivers that on no slouch have found themselves 1 lap down, battling each other, and then trying to work out where to let the leaders through. As they have, Wayne Walker's race lead of 4 or 5 seconds is down to just 2. So 1st and 2nd, not battling yet, getting a little bit closer. Sean McNamara battling Brian Borg, and then could be an all-in Dan Hall brawl for 5th place.
Gaps at the moment suggest that things have cooled off marginally. Like top 5 place in Barnet, things haven't really ranged up either. Just there's watching here this fight. It's all heavy to McNamara. McNamara thinks enough of it that he needs to run to the inside. Walks too far back to make it clean. Threaten anyways, David, with getting close.
I think for a few on boards, there's been just ludicrous concertina effect going into that turn 1. The other cars are 2 car lengths behind you, going into the braking zone, and then they're almost at your bumper at the apex. So, you know, Borg had that one opportunity where he got really brave and it didn't work. So I wonder how that affects what moves he goes for now. Does he stay that brave, or does he go, that was too much, I need to wait for a bigger mistake from McNamara or the traffic to help us out? You can see McNamara's got the next lap down car just in front. I'd be flashing my headlights. He might think about it too. Doesn't get let go before this sequence where it's tough to let someone go.
Ask as politely as they can, move please, by running it in deep. John Gallen steps aside as neatly as he could there in that situation. Releases these two, going to start from the stretch to resume the duel. Boynton is really keeping line on his P6 as we start lap 50 of the race. Just 3 to go now for our front runners.
A decent run that time again from Brian Borg, but McNamara had 1 lane covered and Borg didn't go the inside or the outside, just sat behind him, which was interesting to see. So some quality battles with just a few laps to go. I think it's 3 laps to go for this group. Going into turn 4, almost a bit of nose to tail contact. McNamara just ahead. Brian Borg. Dan Hall still keeping his teammate Scott Mackay behind. He seemed to pick up the pace a little bit amongst that group. But then they might begin to catch a little bit more traffic. This is Hall in the Mustang ahead of Mackay in the Camaro ahead of Mark Poynton, running 7th.
We haven't ranged up on this lot, so I think this is going to be a three-way stoush unless there are significant fireworks that erupt to change the game there. Closing stages.
Kai very wide and sideways, so I think he's defending from Poynton now. With the S's, he was a bit offline. Poynton tries to go just all the way around the outside to have the inside in the stadium where they all get on their feet because they've got to pass for position in the stadium. Poynton gets 6th place back.
Now he's only got 2 laps to cut down 1.1 seconds on Dan Hall. And that might be a challenge. Oh, it's on for 3rd again. Oh no, it's on in a bad way.
Well, there was a bit of lap traffic, but what happened before that? McNamara holds on 3rd place. Brian Borg gets going again in 4th, has lost a whole heap of time. And you can see it wasn't just the 2 drivers battling for 3rd and 4th as we've gone into turn 1 here. There's plenty of space ahead. Borg has a look. Locks up and there's contact and they both spin and then he gets turned around by the lapped car coming back through. Borg's not particularly close to the apex there and John Gallen opens up a hole where there wasn't one. So it was a half spin for McNamara and Borg and then John Gallen full spinning Brian Borg around. No initial problem with the traffic. It was that battle for 3rd. Now McNamara's going to get by John Gallen for a 2nd time. John Gallen is battling for position with Simon Haynes, who is slipstreaming off of Sean McNamara. This is such a complicated situation. John Gallen's like, I want to let you go, but if I might lose position if I'm not careful here, and I've already let you go before. So yeah, it's challenging in that down car when you've got to let the podium battle go through for the 2nd time. Final lap of the race, Wayne Walker's lead has come down a little bit, but this late charge from Jordan Ross appears to have come a little bit too late. He's brought back about 2.5 seconds on the race leader, but he's going to run out of time. Lap 52 of 52, and Wayne Walker can come out of the stadium and look to take his first win of a new season. Just needs to make it to the checkered flag. He looks pretty happy with himself there. The first win of this season for the defending champion Wayne Walker slims down the points lead that Jordan Ross will now enjoy, and it looks like Sean McNamara will be the last car on the podium, but there's still a little bit of controversy there. Contact as he was side by side with Brian Borg, contact with some of the lap cars, and they weren't pleased with any of that either. There's McNamara for 3rd, Borg comfortably in 4th, Dan Hall 5th place. Will it be his?
Getting pretty close to the timing tower, but pick up Borg here. Oh, it's a great tap for Dan. Oh, the line is a fair way up the road, but he will hang on to that 5th place. Ahead of Poynton and Mackay. This top 10 get a roundabout.
Paul Young's got to slow down, and he's dropping quickly. Final lap slowdown for Paul Young.
Oh, he's out of fuel. He's out of fuel.
I think I heard that too. So Damien Fisher will get a spot on the final lap. Nothing that Paul Young needed. Oh, that's close.
16th.
Flavel ahead of Jeff Thomas and Brad Doble as those 3 come across the line. And the hot Mexico sun at altitude, some drivers have lost their head a little bit. There was some phenomenal battles throughout the field. Race perfectly measured by Wayne Walker, and this brings back what we're used to seeing from him and from the defending champion. That looks like it's going to be pole, most laps led, and the win for Wayne Walker in Mexico.
Yeah, everything lining up Wayne there tonight, and with all drivers across the line, we can bring you those official race results here from Mexico.
So an important win for Wayne Walker to elevate him to second in the championship standings. Jordan Ross with second place remains on top. Sean McNamara with a third place. Brian Borg in fourth. Wanted that third position, just never quite got into a position to be able to take it away. Dan Hall battled to hold fifth place. Mark Poynton in 6th, Scott Mackay in 7th, Logan Barnett in 8th, Alex Kiddis in 9th, and there was Travis Hunt in 10th. 11th place for Troy Stonestreet. Ken Latta in 12th, Wayne Sanderson in 13th, Michael Stewart in 14th after being around on lap 1. Damon Fisher in 15th got that cheeky late spot as Paul Young ran out of fuel and limped it across the line just ahead of Stephen Kennedy, Phil Manuel, John Latham and Dean Flavel in 20th. Jeff Thomas led a pack of a couple of cars here. Dean Flavel, Jeff Thomas. I thought I had him on the same lap as Brad Doble. Yep. It's gone missing out of that group. Dean Flavel, Jeff Thomas, Brad Doble.
That was it. There was just the 3 cars across the line together.
That's right.
So just, yeah, nice.
First car off the lead lap then, therefore, was Luke Powell in 23rd. An unusual number of cars. A whole lap down, it must be said. With then Brunt in 24th. Logsdale in 25th. Sean Van der Meulen and Ricky Hyde. Chad Lewis, Ron Allen, and Gary Buckland. Brett Horsell with 31st, Shane Randell in 32nd, John Gallen 33rd, and that was the battle that the podium were one lap ahead of, and things got a little bit complicated with Simon Haynes in 34th, Matthew Stoyles in 35th. Last cars on the lead lap were Christian Smart, Jason Bentz, and Damien Cairns. Seems like Justin McLean reached the classified finishers distance and then was out of here. Short of classified were Jamie McKnight and Bruce Tannock.
And that there was our 41 car field that started this race here tonight in Mexico City. And well, with that, we can turn our attention to the post-race interviews. Are we doing 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3 tonight, Mr. Haynes?
I normally go 3, 2, 1, so why change that? Perhaps you can speak more to Sean McNamara about what I'm sure is an emotional result for him.
Very well, then. We bring him into the box, and he gets to have one last hurrah. Not quite the win, obviously, tonight, Sean, but nevertheless, I'm sure you're quite happy with the P2 finish out there. Had to work for it as well on the track. Well done.
Yeah, stoked with it. I had nothing for those boys, but I need some more seat time. But yeah, that was absolutely mega. Really enjoyed it, and just having a chat to Borgie. I know we come together at the end there, but that was just really bloody good fun and a great way to wrap up the 9.5 journey.
Yeah, I guess obviously for those of us that aren't necessarily, well, I say those of us who aren't necessarily reading up on the news day in, day out for the community, or perhaps weren't necessarily aware of workings and such. Obviously, a big decision you've made here to say, unfortunately, that's going to be the end of the team as it is currently. But yeah, the news when you did put it out and it got around, certainly plenty of good things to say. I guess looking at that, at the team and the news as a whole, I guess is there anything in particular, or things in particular, given there were several you highlighted as being moments of great sort of pride and success that you've been able to look back fondly over the years of running this team?
Yeah, I think there's no one thing. I mean, I sort of touched on it in that post, but it was just the people. You know, I'm not an outgoing person. I don't have a massive friend group, but you know, this pixel racing thing we do, just you know, through Discords and all sorts of stuff, brings so many different people together that you just end up calling mates. So for me, that's the highlight, is all the people I've met in the 9.5 team, and you know, some of them I get to call friends, you know, for a very, very long time. And yeah, but I think it's just everything in the sim community. It's just a great community to be a part of, and the vet stuff is great. And yeah, I don't know. I think that's the thing. It's just the friendships made, the bonds made, and just having bloody good fun with some mates. So yeah, it's a bit raw at the moment, but right decision, and looking forward to the next chapter.
So on that note, then the next chapter, obviously, we will still see you racing the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Yep. So I guess it's just a case of then a change of colours for you, perhaps.
Yeah, correct.
And calling yourself perhaps a privateer for the next little while being. But also the news that you put out that you working with Synergy a little closer in the last little while, the guys are going to be welcome to the SSR banner if they so choose. I guess, yeah, for perhaps those who don't know about the work you've done with them of late, I guess, yeah, what sort of brought your teams together and sort of you think helps both teams benefit so far?
I think look, Jordan and I get along really well, and through pro and whatnot, we've spent a fair bit of time together, and vets got us a little bit closer, and we started practicing together. And last year we thought, you know, with Pro Series, why not? Let's just form a bit of a group and try and bring both teams forward. So that's really what we were doing last year, and you know, circumstances have changed a bit this year, and not on that side, but just personally. So yeah, look, decided to do what we've done, and you know, Jordan and the crew, and you know, Brenton, Briggsy, and all those guys, they've been awesome, and put out the branch. I didn't want to stop the team without the guys having options. That's not what I'm about. But the great news is there's plenty of people knocking on the door for these guys, because they're all just a bunch of bloody legends. So you know, whether they end up there or they end up at somewhere else, you know, best of luck to them. I'll be at SSR. I just want to get back to driving, have a bit of fun, sort of get back into the groove, and see if we can't take it to Wayne at some point this season. Yeah, so yeah, it's good.
Fair points there indeed. Well, that'll be one to watch for starting next week then in that case. But yeah, speaking of it, come back home to an Australian track in the form of the Bend next Thursday night here for the vets. Another 200 Ks on that international layout, so we'll see a bit of that longer form racing. And is that going to be a combination you think that'll gel well for yourself, the car, the track, and the field, perhaps?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I haven't had great luck at the Bend, but I do like the track. I'm not really a flowy, that sort of Grand Prix style, I guess, those long undulating corners. But I've gone all right there, just a bit of bad luck. So I'm looking forward to it. Setups have been pretty good there the past few times. So yeah, all in all, I think it'll be fun, and yeah, we'll see what it brings. A couple of big straights and things like that, and some good passing opportunities there. So yeah, it should be an absolute hoot.
Well, then with that one, David, unless there's anything else you wanted to quickly chip in with, given that you handed the interview to me to start off with, given this is the last time we talked to Sean officially as a 9.5 driver. Take that as a no.
The crowd goes quiet. Can I just quickly, I just want to very quickly thank Racecraft Simulations, RSW Graphics, Racing Ears, my Balance Stewart Foundation. Without all of those guys, we wouldn't have 9.5 Sim Sport. And just one final shout out to all the boys who I still call family. It's still in 9.5. Absolutely love yous, and good luck in the future. And yeah, I'm sure you'll crush it no matter what you do.
Indeed. Well, I was just about to offer the floor to you there, Sean.
Sorry.
Indeed. Very yeah. all the same, an appropriate time to do it. So well done there tonight for one final race in the 9.5 colours, a podium position for you here tonight from Mexico City. Well done once again.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
And with that one, I will now bring in Mr. Jordan Ross, the man managing Sean's new home, and I'll hand to you to chat with him for his second place finish here tonight.
Well, congratulations on the second place there, Jordan, and you lead the championship, but you can't keep a good Wayne down.
He's very good around this joint. He did a cracker of a lap in quali so fast, and mega time to like deliver that lap. So yeah, congrats to Wayne, and good to see Sean up on the podium too. The last hurrah for 9.5. You know, it's obviously the end of an era, but wicked to see him up here on the podium with us too. But yeah, mate, cool race. Probably need to pull my finger out and figure out how to get these things off the line, because just by the time you get past people and you get back into second, Wayne's pulled a bit of a gap and it's hard to get it back. He's too good, so I'll have to figure that out so we can race it out for the season.
If I condense 52 laps to one critical moment, it seems like your ability to really battle him was lost at one slowdown penalty.
Yeah, and he came out of the pits, I think, 2.8 seconds ahead of me, and I think my slowdown was roughly that. So, yep, that's definitely a mistake. That's on me, but also probably needed to be, either in front or right behind him for the first sequence of the race, and it would have changed the whole race. So, I know what I got to do, but it's just trying to execute it, and I've never been good getting these things off the line, so I'll have to go and figure out what everyone's doing. And I don't even know where we're racing next, but hopefully I can get off the line there and race Wayne, because I'm sure he'll be up the front, and I'm sure Borgie and Sean and those guys will be up the front as well.
The Bend, one of our 2 trips, the international circuit, and this is the final international race of the season. Everywhere else is going to be in Australia from here on out.
The Bend is not in Australia, it's in Australia.
This Mexico City is
going to
be the last international outing, because we go to the Bend next week.
Gotcha, okay. Bend, I'm up and down there, I suppose, but we'll do some laps this week and get it dialed, and hopefully we can bang doors and have a bit of fun. It's a bit of a... it's probably similar, the track to this one. Long high-speed corners and stuff like that. So hopefully the gaps aren't, hopefully the gaps are a lot closer than they were tonight, and we can all race it out. Hopefully some random safety cars or whatever to bring the field and shake it up a bit.
We wish you the best. We know you can be one of the quickest drivers and have shown it season after season. So now the championship lead is yours, and we're looking forward to more great racing.
Thanks, guys, and obviously thanks to you guys for turning up again for another season and getting it done. Thanks to organisers. I'll hopefully see you in the coming weeks. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thank you. And the race leader and race winner, Wayne Walker, joins us. Close margin at the end there, but every box that needed to be checked from your side, it seems like, was good getaway from pole position, leading the most laps and taking the race win.
Yeah, that was good to come back after last week. It was a bit of a not very good race for me, but to come back and win this, get pole, like you said, pole, most laps, quickest lap, all that. Yeah, it's good for the championship.
What do you think caused so many cars to be a lap down today? I feel like you're probably not used to seeing that many battles for position with blue flags in front of you.
Yeah, I'm not sure actually. There was a lot of cars. We passed a lot of lap cars, and most of them got out of the way, but there was a couple that were sort of in battles that um, sort of held me up a little bit and allowed Jordan to get closer at the end. But like most of the lap cars were good. But yeah, I'm not sure why there was so many lapped cars.
Did it factor into your strategy and your racecraft much at all? What needed a change on the fly today that wasn't what you were expecting?
In the first pit stop, I actually pitted because I was coming into lapped cars, so I did pit sort of a couple of laps earlier than what I was going to. But then that second stint, I just ran the tank out, and so I had to pit that lap, and then just push from there to the end and try to keep Jordan behind me.
Well, it's great to see you back in winning form and another sort of great battle between yourself and Jordan Ross. You're both in immaculate form, and we've seen a few of the other drivers that are looking very, very quick this season. So we're looking forward to the Bend next week and seeing you there.
Yeah, it should be a good race as well. There's going to be a few quick guys there. That's always pretty close.
Best of luck. We love a championship fight. We love to see a battle, and you'll be a part of it this season, no doubt.
Yeah, thank you.
Wayne Walker joining us from the podium. Everyone looking forward to next week, Dan.
Yes, indeed. As you said, the start of the full run in Australia, at least. So we'll head to Shell v Power Motorsport Park here at the Bend and see the drivers tackle our second Australian track of this season, and that run of all Australian circuits. Home from here, another 200 Ks on the clock next Thursday night, the 9th of July. But there is one last thing to obviously do from here tonight, and that will be to pick up an M1 used cars driver of the day here from Mexico and have a look at who made some big moves. I actually need to.
I want to look a little further down than usual and perhaps suggest Damon Fisher.
That doesn't sound unreasonable at all. I need to actually have a look at how many spots he gained again tonight and just bring it up on my timing screens.
So a relatively new driver, at least to split one of V8 Vets. Apparently clean race when many penalties were handed out and other things such as that. And he also put enough fuel in because he got that one spot when Paul Young ran out. So I think that's a good performance.
Yeah, and plus 12 for the night. I would have to concur and say fair play indeed to Damon Fisher to earn himself an M1 Used Cars Driver of the Day award from us here tonight.
And M1 Used Cars are a supporter of the Balin Stewart Foundation. So great to have them also supporting the driver of the day, which today from Mexico City is Damon Fisher. Well done to him. Well done to the winner, Wayne Walker. It looks like Jordan Ross will be the championship leader when we head to round 3 at the Bend. It'll be live here on SimSpeed TV, same time next week. We hope to see you there. Thank you so much to the SimRigs V8 Vets partners that make this awesome league and broadcast possible. That is, of course, SimRigs, Logitech G, Nova Sim Sports, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, Project Fade Streetwear, M1 Used Cars, and LGC Images. I've been David Haynes with Daniel Yeaman for SimSpeed TV, and we'll see you for V8 Vets at the Bend next Thursday.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.